Hi everybody. Okay, this is my review of Dormant Beauty, which I saw this afternoon. And I have to tell you, this has been the worst movie I have seen so far at Tiff. Actually, it's only the second bad film I've seen, but you know, the bad film I saw before this is like a masterpiece in comparison, because this was so bad I had to leave the theater. I just couldn't stand it anymore. It's an Italian film, and from the description in the Tiff book, it sounded like a really good story. It's supposed to be the story of this girl who was in some kind of horrific car accident and had been like in a coma for many years, and her family was fighting for the right to euthanize her to put an end to her, you know, put her out of her misery, because she's on life support. But of course the government is like intervening and saying, no, you can't do that, it's against the law. So I thought that was what the movie was going to be about, her story, her family, and all that. But instead, it decided to focus on the politics and the religion of this issue. And it just was so boring and tedious and uninteresting and dull and irritating. Especially the political side of it. One of the main characters is this like high-powered Italian senator, very dignified, you know, looking older guy, and he has this, you know, maybe I guess 20-something daughter. One of the most irritating, you know, there's about like 4 like other stories going on in this movie, which none of them were particularly interesting, and some of them were outright irritating. And one of the ones that irritated me the most was the one about this daughter, because her and her father are at odds. I don't know whether it's about this issue or it's about something else. But anyway, they're not speaking. She goes off to some demonstration in Rome, which is about this, you know, the euthanization of this girl. And she's on the religious side of it, I guess, saying, you know, you shouldn't do it. And so she's at this, you know, rest stop or whatever, at this store with her friends. And then these 2 guys are in there, and one of them is like a real hothead, you know, like kind of nutty guy. He goes up to her, throws a glass of water in her face for some reason. She's like, oh my god, whatever. And then the other guy that's with him comes over, it's his brother, and he's like, oh, please excuse him, he's like, you know, crazy and all this. Gives her a cloth to dry her face, and she's like, ah, falls instantly in love with this guy. Like, oh my god, it was so pathetic. And so anyway, he goes outside, comes back in, writes his phone number on her hand, and, you know, she ends up calling this guy, and then she ends up going to his fucking hotel and spending the night with him and having all kinds of, you know, crazy sex with him. And, you know, so much for her being a good Catholic girl. You know, not that I'm judging anybody, definitely not. But I'm just saying, you know, I think she was supposed to be on the religious side of this issue, and then she's going to this guy's room after, like, you know, meeting him the first time and, you know, fornicating with him all night. So go figure. But anyway, and then like the politician father, like, I mean, he's got a vote on this issue in Parliament or whatever, and he's wrestling with his conscience, and he's going to be thrown out of the party if he doesn't vote one way or whatever, and he's like arguing with his colleagues about it, and I'm like, you know, I don't give a shit about this. Why are you showing me this? And then there's another story about this like doctor, this really like handsome, good-looking guy who apparently is the son of the director. Anyway, he plays this doctor, and this like supermodel type woman, she's like this drug addict. She, you know, comes into the hospital, slits her wrist in front of him, tries to commit suicide. So she ends up like, you know, being, you know, admitted to the hospital. This guy is like sitting there all night, this doctor sitting on the bed beside her, just, you know, watching her sleep and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, buddy, like, don't you have rounds to do? Don't you have a fucking job to do? You're sitting here with this chick all night? Like, I mean, it's obvious you want to bang her, but, you know, come on now, like, get real. And I mean, not even Isabelle Huppert could save this movie. She's one of my favorite actresses, and she was in this movie. But her character was, like, super creepy. She played this actress, ultra-rich, you know, ultra-elegant actress who lives in this palatial mansion. And her daughter is, like, in some coma upstairs in the bedroom. And I guess she can afford to have her, like, on life support in her house. And she's got around-the-care nurses for her and all this shit. So in this one scene, they go up to her bedroom, and this chick, her daughter, looks like some friggin' Barbie doll. She's got like the long blonde hair, and she's lying there comatose on the bed with this respirator on her, and her hands are like up to her throat, and I'm like, what the hell is this, man? Like, what's going on here? And, oh, I just hated this movie. It was awful. Terrible. And, it takes a lot to get me to walk out of a movie, because, I mean, you paid for your ticket. You want to sit there and watch it. You want to give it a chance. So I gave this movie about 10 chances, and no, it just wasn't working. I just fucking had enough. I sat through maybe, I guess, an hour, more than an hour of this, and that was giving it more than enough chances, because it was fucking terrible, awful. The director of this movie was a guy named Marco Bellocchio. He's an older Italian director. My husband told me he's seen other films by him before, and I guess they were okay, but he said this was the worst one he's seen, and wow. I mean, it was terrible. It sucked. It stunk. Awful. Stay away. Don't go see this movie. You're going to waste your money. You're going to waste your time. It was awful. Terrible. I don't know why it was at Tiff. Doesn't deserve to be there, because it was horrible. So anyway, enough said about that. Let's move on, and hopefully, things won't get, this bad again. I've got 3 movies tomorrow, so I will report back to you on those. So I will see you later. Dormant Beauty, 2 major thumbs down. You wasted, over an hour of my life. Fuck you. Bye-bye.